Morning, ma'am.
What were we doing yesterday? Remember what were we doing yesterday? No one remembers what we were doing. What kingdom were we doing yesterday? Let me know.
Kingdom Monera.
Protista.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, Protista.
Exactly. What happened? Most of you sleeping. The weather is cold, so you people are getting up late in the morning. Is it so? Waking up late? But now it is third period, bachas. I'm sure you're up now. Jag jao thoda sa. Okay, we were doing protester. What were the three main classifications we had done on the basis of nutrition?
Photosynthetic,
protist
one and
and
saprophytic.
yes, photosynthetic, heterotrophs, and saprophytic. In photosynthetic, again we had three subcategories. What were they?
Euglenophyta.
Yes, very good. We had done quite a bit about the first one. What is so special about Chrysophyta? They are also called as?
Golden algae.
Very good. Okay, they're known as golden algae. And what was the example we had done?
Diatoms.
Diatoms. Oh, speak out, beta. Only one child speaking in the class. The example that we did for Chrysophyta was?
Diatoms.
A little more details because they are very interesting creatures. So we'll take it in a little more details. See. Pyrophyta, I told you, bioluminescence is a special quality. Protozoan protist, we had classified on the basis of what? You remember what was the basic feature?
Locomotion.
Excellent. It was locomotion. On the basis of locomotion, we had classified them into Sarcodina, amoeboid one, ciliata, zooflagellata, sporozoans. Okay. Yesterday I told you how much percent of photosynthesis is performed by these photosynthetic protists?
80%.
So don't you feel they're so important? Don't you feel they're so important? Because the total amount of photosynthesis which is being done in the ecosystem, 80% they are contributing to it. That is why they are very, very important. So chrysophytes or golden algae or diatoms, now I'm telling you a little photosynthetic. Three keywords to remember. They are microscopic, aquatic, and photosynthetic. In aquatic, you can find them in both the kinds of waters. What are the two kinds, beta? Freshwater and? Yes, you will
Marine
find.
water.
Yes, Piche, speak out. Only one child is present, it seems, in the class today. All others feeling cold, feeling sleepy. What are you feeling, children? Yes, they're waters and they're also photosynthetic. Cell wall has a deposit of silica. This is the most important thing about them. The cell wall has a lot of silica in it, and that is why they are indestructible. Okay, this is the most important feature of diatoms. They are indestructible. You cannot destroy them. What is the reason? Tell me very quickly. Why cannot you destroy them?
Because of the presence of silica in the cell wall.
See, silica is a very hard material. So that is it. We have a thick deposit or a thick layer of silica on the walls. And that is the reason we cannot destroy them. They are indestructible. The word specially we use for them is that they are indestructible. See, beta. Try to explain this to you. Can you see this structure? This is the cell wall. Okay, it always remains intact. Cytoplasm may decompose, but the cell wall always remains intact. Remember this? So there is no death as such, we say, because cytoplasm may decompose, but the cell wall is always there. This is one diatom. Then we have another diatom on its top, another diatom on its top. This is how they keep growing. Cell wall remains intact, and cytoplasm, of course, after a certain time, it starts decomposing. And you get a pile of these walls, cell walls. This is what we call as diatomaceous earth. Have you read this word somewhere? Diatomaceous earth?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You must
ma'am.
have certainly read this word somewhere in some classes, maybe in social studies or science. This word, I'm 100% sure you must have read about this word. Diatomaceous earth, that means earth or miट्टी, जो किससे बनी है? Diatom से. That is why we call it as diatomaceous earth. होते क्या है बच्चा? ये है देखो. See, this is your diatom. It's indestructible in the way. How is it indestructible? This cytoplasm inside decomposes after a few years. But ये जो cell wall है बाहर की, ये ऐसे ही रहती है. It remains intact. Now इसके बाद we have another diatom which grows on this. इसकी cell wall भी रहेगी, इसकी cell wall भी रहेगी. And एक पूरा जिसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं ढेर लग जाता है. You have a pile of these cell wall, intact cell walls. This is what we call as diatomaceous earth. If you must have been to Jim Corbett Park last year or last to last year when we had gone from the school. Did you go? How many of you went? Corbett National Park, school had sent us for a trip.
Me, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
If you went there, you must have certainly seen a pile of, जैसे आपको लगेगा मिट्टी के छोटे छोटे पहाड़. It seems as if they are small, big piles of mud or कुछ ऐसे ही आपको लगेगा, छोटे छोटे rocks type के, मिट्टी के बने हुए. We call them as diatomaceous earth. What are they called, beta? So next time you see these pile, what is it actually? It is the intact cell wall of diatoms. And diatoms are which subcategory of protists?
Chrysophyta.
Very good. We are talking about Chrysophyta. So this is how diatomaceous earth is formed. Chalo. On the basis of shape, we have two types of diatoms, pinnate and centric. Pinnate and centric. Again, I'm telling you children, when it comes to assessment or test, I'll be taking only what is given in the restricted to your NCERT. But for discussions, we'll take up a little more details. See, it is a soapbox shape. नीचे base है, ऊपर ढक्कन है. This shape is called pinnate diatom. And if it is a circular, something like a petri dish, then this is called as a centric diatom. Have you seen a petri dish? In the
Yes,
lab?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is the shape of a petri dish?
Ma'am, circular.
Circular. ढक्कन वाली petri dish देखी है बेटा या बिना ढक्कन वाली देखी है? लैब
Ma'am,
में
बिना
कैसी petri dish है? बिना
Without
ढक्कन वाली. एक्चुअली वो होती सब ढक्कन वाली ही है, बट नॉर्मली जब हम लोग एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं तो हम उसके ऊपर लिड नहीं लगाते हैं. सो आप उसको ऐसे इमेजिन करो, लाइक यू हैव अ सोप बॉक्स, उसके ऊपर लिड होता है. सोप बॉक्स आल्सो यू हैव टू टाइप्स, the one which does not have a dhakkan and the other which has a dhakkan. So specially I'm telling you, whenever you visualize diatoms, visualize them in two ways. कि ढक्कन है, okay? आपने नॉर्मली सोप बॉक्स देखे होंगे, ऊपर का एंड ढक्कन का डिजाइन थोड़ा अलग अलग होता है, बट ढक्कन होता है. सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दोज सोप बॉक्सेस which have lids. Similarly, we are talking about those petri dishes which have dish, which are going to have what? They're going to have a ढक्कन. I'll tell you why I'm specifying this again and again. कि ऊपर का पार्ट होता है. देखो बच्चा, these are bilaterally symmetrical and these are radially symmetrical. ऐसा है. Cell wall is divided into two halves. ऊपर वाला अलग, नीचे वाला अलग. The upper half is bigger and this is called epitheca. The lower half is smaller and this is called hypotheca. Okay? That is the reason I'm always trying to specify and tell you कि बेटा ढक्कन वाला ही सोचना, because इसमें exactly ऐसे ही होता है. We have two halves. The upper half, cell wall. The upper half of the cell wall is bigger. ये देखो थोड़ा सा बड़ा बनाया है size में. What is this upper half called as? Upper half of cell wall.
Epitheca.
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 The lower is comparatively smaller and it is called as, what is it called, Bachi?
Hypotheca.
Hypotheca. Epitheca plus hypotheca. How many layers you are getting?
2.
Two.
That is the reason we call them as diatoms. Why I took up this description for you is to understand why do we call them as diatoms. Their cell wall is very clearly demarcated into two layers or two partitions separately. Upper one, lower one. Which one is the larger one? Upper one. And the smaller one is upper or lower?
Lower.
Lower one. Chaliye, very quickly tell me the names of both the parts of the cell wall or layers of the cell wall. What is the upper one called?
Epitheca and hypotheca.
Yes. So we have in total 2 layers. Because we have 2 layers, that is why these are called as diatoms. This is the main reason why they are called as diatoms. See, this is the upper one. Thoda bada hai. This is the lower one. Ye chota hai. And they are connected by special valves, which you will study later in senior classes, that ye valves kaise hote hain. Okay? Chaliye, very quickly let me do this with you. I just told you about this. Everybody understood what is diatomaceous earth? Yes or no, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
2 topics covered till now. If it is clear, I'll move forward. Everybody has understood what is diatomaceous earth. Everybody knows why diatoms are called diatoms?
Yes,
Ari, tell me, have you understood why
ma'am.
do we call them as diatoms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, they keep floating. These diatoms, they keep floating in water. How do they float? They do not have flagella, they do not have cilia, but they still keep floating. The reason is they have oil droplets in them. See, this is again a very special feature of diatoms. Okay, when we started, we were talking about diatoms. The main thing which I told you about their habitat was, let me see how many of you remember, microscopic, aquatic. Where are they found?
Marine water and fresh water.
Yes, mainly they are aquatic only. And when you see them floating, so they're floating, they don't have flagella, they don't have cilia, they're floating in water. If they're aquatic, mainly they're aquatic only. Very few this thing. So oil droplets, what is present in them?
Oil droplet.
Oil droplet.
And in their body, they have a reserve food material that is in the form of polysaccharides. So again, from competitive point of view, what is the reserve material in these diatoms?
Polysaccharides.
Polysaccharides. And they can float without flagella because of the presence of what, beta?
Oil droplets.
Excellent. Now we have 2 kinds of reproduction in diatoms: vegetative reproduction and sexual reproduction both. I'm trying to explain the vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is basically mitosis division takes place and it only takes place during night. It only takes place during night. I've tried to explain how vegetative reproduction takes place in diatoms at night. Just observe it for 2 minutes or 1 minute and then let's discuss. Try and see what the figure is trying to tell you. This is asexual mode of reproduction or vegetative mode of reproduction in diatoms. Did you understand a bit as to what is happening? See beta, this is your diatom. This is how a diatom looks like. थोड़ा ऐसे बना दिया. This is which layer? Tell me. This bigger one.
Epitheca.
ठीक है.
I made it a little dark ताकि आपको दिख जाए. वैसे तो dark करने का requirement नहीं है because this is smaller in size, so आपको पता चल जाएगा. So this is the smaller one. This is hypotheca. What happens is the protoplasm inside this starts swelling, which pushes both the walls. इसको इधर push करेगा, इसको इधर दूर push कर देगा एक दूसरे को. Because of what is swelled up, जो इसके अंदर का material है, the protoplasm, that starts swelling. Okay, and the halves separate. See over here, it is protoplasm is swelled up, so halves कितने दूर दूर हो गए. एपिथीका हाइपोथीका बहुत दूर हो गया एक दूसरे से. Okay, then what is happening after they separate away from each other? Nucleus divides. You can see we had one nucleus over here. Now we've got how many nucleus? Two nucleus. And then the cytoplasm also divides. After it divides, यहाँ से देखो ये कट हो जाएगा. अच्छा बेटा अब इसको ध्यान से देखना. Let us talk about this smaller part. वो यहाँ पे आ गया. चलो पहले बड़ा वाला देखते हैं. What is this layer called as? बड़ा वाला?
Epitheca.
Now let's come here. This is the old epitheca. What is it written? Old only. मतलब only old. सिर्फ ये वाला यहाँ पे आया बस. So what will be formed new? Epitheca or hypotheca?
Hypotheca.
Hypotheca. To make a diatom, ना? We have to make a diatom. So epitheca layer यहाँ पे सिर्फ अलग epitheca आया यहाँ पे. So this is your old epitheca. Old epitheca means the epitheca which has come from the parent diatom. वो ये वाला था. एक न्यूक्लियस आ गया, थोड़ा सा साइटोप्लाज्म आ गया. So which layer is developed now? New hypotheca. चलिए यहाँ पे चलते हैं. This is your old hypotheca. ये वाला जो layer था अलग separate होके वो ये वाला आ गया. So this is the only hypotheca means only this part had come here, old wala. In this case, which layer will be formed new?
Epitheca.
Come on, tell me which one will be formed new?
Epitheca.
एपिथीका.
Risha? Okay, I'm showing you the next slide. Let's see what is happening. Beta, now I'm trying to show you this sexual reproduction. Okay, try and understand, then I'll explain it to you. हाँ बेटा जी, sorry, हाँ, there was some confusion in class 10th. No teacher had reached, so I had to check the timetables. Okay, बच्चे, let me go back to where I was. हाँ जी बच्चे, everybody has understood this asexual mode of reproduction. Vegetative mode we call it as. Yes, beta.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Process. Good children. Process continues. हाँ, देखो बेटा, process कैसे continue होगा? अब from 1 we have got how many diatoms?
2.
2.
And now from here again these will get separated. We'll get a hypotheca or new hypotheca, and this is how vegetative reproduction will continue. There is something very complicated in this. इसमें धीरे 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 जाके size reduce होता है, फिर sexual कैसे update करता है, that I'm not going to in details. If you people will be interested, later I'll tell you. अच्छा, this is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, before I start, beta, I told you we have two types of diatoms on the basis of their shape. You remember? What did I tell? Tell me the names. Pinnate and
Centric.
centric. What
Centric.
happened, children? What happened, my bachas? What is the class is so dull today? This was pinnate and this is what we call as centric. Soapbox and petri dish. Okay. Now I'll explain to you how the sexual reproduction takes place in them. See, in pinnate it takes place by conjugation, and in centric it is normal gamete formation. So this is very simple gamete formation. Let me first explain this to you. This is an easier one. We have a male, we have a female diatom, male diatom and female diatom. Meiosis will take place. Okay. What will happen now? Male gametes or spermatozoa and the haploid egg fertilization will take place. And then you get this. This is called oxospore. बस ये याद रखना. The one which is formed by gametes, this is called oxospore. Okay. Oxospore will be formed. It will secrete its own hypotheca and epitheca. I made a circular shape over here because ये कौन सा वाला था बेटा? Centric, the petri dish वाला. So sexual reproduction takes place by gamete formation. ये बहुत simple है. In the centric ones, इसमें कोई confusion नहीं है. Meiosis हो रहा है. Spermatozoas are there. Egg is there. Fertilization will take place and zygote नहीं बोलेंगे. Normally fertilization के बाद the first cell which is formed is called zygote. Here it is called oxospore. Okay, remember this term. Tell me the first cell which is formed after fertilization, what is it called?
Oxospore.
Oxospore.
And oxospore will now secrete its own hypotheca and eutheca, and then it will look epitheca and it will look like a diatom. So name the first cell formed after fertilization in centric diatoms.
Oxospore.
Oxosomes. Tell me children, which is the first cell which is formed?
Oxospore.
Today I don't know. Either it is very cold or you're not in a mood of studying. चलो बात करते हैं. बताइए, what is it? Not feeling like studying? Very, very dull today. Because the weather is going to go worst now. Day by day, this is only going to happen. But things are not going to improve. Now let me take up sexual reproduction to you. The process is conjugation. This takes place in pinnate ones. I've drawn it like this. Okay. See over here. Let's have this. These are two diatoms. They come closer. This is one diatom. This is another diatom. This one has its own nucleus. This one has its own nucleus. Now they'll come closer to each other. Now, when they come closer to each other, these middle walls, they dissolve. एक का hypotheca, एक का epitheca. They are going to dissolve. And now, the cytoplasm is going to mix up everything, the protoplasm, nucleus. If you can see, there are two nucleus over here. And they are going to have a common wall over here. This is mucilage cover. They'll be surrounded by mucilage. The cell walls are degenerated. If you see, these cell walls, they'll get degenerated when they come closer. And then this all protoplasm is mixed up. And now we have a common covering for both of them, which is made up of mucilage. Cell wall is degenerated. Now, beta, we have meiosis. These are the two nucleus over here. Meiosis is going to take place. We know that this is a sexual mode of reproduction. If you can see, we are going to get what? We are going to get 4 haploid nuclei. Iska bhi dekho. We had 2. So we are getting 4 haploid nuclei, out of which 2 will degenerate. 2 will degenerate. ठीक है, अब ये दोनों degenerate हो गए या दोनों degenerate हो गए हैं. जो degenerate हो गए, 2 pairs have already degenerated. अब आपके बचे क्या, ये दोनों fuse करेंगे, this and this fusion, this and this fusion, and after fusion these two nuclei will become single, these two nuclei will become single, and you're going to get two diploid structures which are known as, what are they known as? Again, oxospores. So you've got your first oxospores here also. Matlab the first cell which is formed after sexual reproduction in diatoms is known as basically oxospore. Isko fir se dekhte hain. Let's do this. Two diatoms came closer. Tell me what is the first thing which happened? What is degenerating in this stage?
Cell wall.
Very good. But something has to enclose the entire protoplasmic material and the two nuclei are also there, beta. What is that covering?
Mucilage.
Yes, it is what? It is mucilage covering. Very good. These cell walls have degenerated and the covering is of mucilage now. Till here everybody is okay? Which division is going to take place?
Meiosis.
Meiosis.
Meiosis will take place. See now, beta, we had these two nuclei over here. Chaliye. See this? 1 से 4 हो गया, 4 haploid nuclei. इसके बन गए, इस nucleus के भी 4 haploid nuclei are formed now. After this, what is happening? 2 are going to degenerate. 2 are going to degenerate मतलब ये वाला pair and ये वाला pair supposing degenerate हो गया. ऊपर वाला एक ये pair degenerate हो गया बेटा, एक ये pair degenerate हो गया. So we are left with these 4 नीचे वाले. अब इनको नीचे चलते हैं. After degeneration ये 4 बचे. Now fusion is going to take place. ये वाला और ये वाला nuclei, ये वाला और ये वाला nuclei, and you're going to get how many? 2 diploid structures. They are also known as oxospores. We are left with mycoplasma. I think I had discussed mycoplasma with you yesterday. Did we discuss about mycoplasma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We are moving on to the second next category. They are dinoflagellates or pyrophyta. What was the special thing? What was the special thing I told you about pyrophyta? When we had
Fire
just done the
algae.
introduction.
Fire algae.
Excellent. Bioluminescence. Okay. Let's talk about dinoflagellates or pyrophyta. They are mainly marine. They appear yellow, blue, red, green. It depends on the pigment which is present. Also remember that the cell wall, if present, that means cell wall is not always present. If the cell wall is present, it is made up of layers of cellulose. One very important pyrophyta variety or dinoflagellate variety which I want to discuss with you is this one, Gymnodinium. Its name is Gymnodinium. Very important because this is the variety of pyrophytes which grows in large number in the sea. And that is why the water in the sea, it looks red. Okay. Sometimes you must have come across red tide form, red waters. What is the reason behind it? A big growth of which variety of pyrophyte? Name it.
Gymnodium.
Gymnodinium.
Gymnodinium. Sometimes in some patch of sea water, we will find that the water is red in color. It appears to be red in color because this dinium has a lot of red pigment present in it. Because of this, the water also appears to be red. And it also releases toxins. See, this is the most harmful thing about them, that Gymnodinium, if it grows, the water becomes red and it starts releasing toxins. And because of which often aquatic animals die. So wherever there is a thick growth of Gymnodiniums, you will see a patch of water is appearing red and it is the water, that area also becomes toxic. We also discussed about that they show bioluminescence. We had already discussed that day that what is bioluminescence. They usually have 2 flagella. That is why normally we call them as dinoflagellates. They are called as what? Dinoflagellates. They have 2 flagellas. And both the flagellas are not exactly identical or similar. Such a pattern where both the flagellas are not same, we also call them as heterocont. Heterocont. Remember this word, K-O-N-T. If flagella are similar, we call them as homoconts, like we're talking about a dinoflagellate or any organism where we have two flagellas. If both the flagellas are similar in structure and origin, they are originating from the same point or same place, we're going to call them as homoconts. But if they are not similar, identical, the origin point is different, we call them as heterocont. Got the difference in the two terms, homoconts and heterocont? What is homocont,
Yes,
children?
ma'am.
What is a homocont organism?
When two flagella are similar in structure and origin.
Yes. Normally in your books in class 9th and 10th, you must have seen structures where from the tip two flagellas come out. वो थोड़ा ऊपर जाते हैं and then they bend down. बिल्कुल same लगते हैं देखने में and they are originating from the tip of the body. This is how normally you must have seen two flagellated structures. So such kind of structures or organisms where flagella originating place is same, they are exactly similar देखने में, then we call them as homoconts. But if they are different and they are originating from different places, we call them as heterocont. Why do we call them heterocont over here? One arises from the anterior part and other from the furrow between the wall. What do you mean by furrow? What is a furrow, children? Come on, somebody tell me what is a furrow? Any idea? What is a furrow? FURROW. I'm very sure you know about it. You people, your English is good. What do you mean by furrow in the cell wall? Guess तो कर सकते हैं और today okay, empty space, fine. See beta, a partition like structure or an empty space, it's like supposing you think about a cell wall जो continuous है, okay? ऐसे नहीं लगेगा कि कहीं से भी टूटी हुई है और that particular place is vacant, ऐसा नहीं लगेगा आपको. That's a continuous cell wall. But sometimes we see in some cell wall structures at some places we have थोड़ा सा blank spaces और partitions, ऐसे लगेगा कि दोनों walls part of the wall separate हो रखे हैं at a particular patch. That is what we call as a furrow. I should have drawn it for you people. Never mind, I'll draw and show you tomorrow how exactly. So one is arising from the anterior part and the other arises from the furrow between the walls. Originating place is different. They don't even appear alike. And that is why such an arrangement, we call them as heterocont arrangement in dinoflagellates. This is again another word for you. I've taken up these words, I've written it in bold letters. So please, whenever you revise this, revise these words. The nucleus is exceptionally big compared to the structure or the size of the body of the diatom. That is why it is called as mesokaryon. What is such a nucleus called as? Mesokaryons. See, karyo word you know. Karyo means what? Are prokaryote, eukaryote, you know what does the word karyo mean? Karyo always means what? We talk about what in karyos? Nucleus. Very good. We talk about nucleus. Prokaryote, eukaryote, if you remember, karyo word means nucleus. बेटा अगर बॉडी के स्ट्रक्चर साइज के कंपैरेटिवली न्यूक्लियस बहुत छोटा होता है, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रेशियो साइज, नॉट कि वैसे छोटा है कि बड़ा है, इन कंपैरिजन टू द बॉडी साइज वी कॉल इट एज अ मोनोकैरियन. Monokaryon means the body structure comparatively is in proportion very large, but the nucleus is very small. We call it as a monokaryon or mini karyon at times. But if the body structure comparatively ratio nikale, the body structure is small and nucleus is quite big, then such an arrangement is called as a mesokaryon. So in dinoflagellates, when we talk about what kind of an arrangement of nucleus is there, what is the nucleus size compared to the body size? Mini or meso?
Meso.
Mesokaryon. So this is a new word for you, heterocont. Mesokaryon is a new word for you. The last new word which I'm taking for you is pisiole. I don't know you've heard about this. I'm sure you never heard it. कोई बात नहीं. They have osmoregulatory organelles which are called pisiole, which look like vacuoles. Osmoregulation, they control the osmotic balance, osmotic pressure inside the cell body, and they appear like bags, bag-like structures. जैसे vacuole दिखता है, कुछ वैसा ही. These are special organelles which are present in dinoflagellates. They are called as pusule. Pusule. What are they called as?
Pusule.
Pusule. See, this is very important. Dinoflagellates or pyrophytes are very important because in this we have talked about that particular variety because of which the seawater looks red. What was the name?
Gymnodium.
Gymnodium.
Yes, gymnodium. Then we talked about a new word where the flagella are different, origin is different, structure shape is different. What was the term we had used?
Heteropod.
Very good.
Heterocon.
Heteropod. And if the nucleus is comparatively big compared to the body size, we call them as
Mesokaryon.
good. Mesokaryon. And then we talked about the last new word, that is pusule. This is an osmoregulatory organelle which is present in them. Very quick, I still have about 1.5 minutes. We are going to talk about these sexual reproduction, then asexual reproduction. Why are the items called as diatoms?
Because they are made of epitheca and hepatica.
Yes. Which one is the larger layer? Epi or hypo?
Epitheca.
Epitheca.
The upper half, or this the larger one is I have drawn it like this. I could draw it like this also. It's like they do not have flagella, but still they can float in water. Why?
Because of the presence of oil droplets on their body.
Good. See, vegetative reproduction is taking place by mitosis division, and sexual reproduction is going to take place by meiosis division. In vegetative reproduction, we had this only one single diatom over here. Protoplasm is swelling up. See how much it has swelled up, because of which these walls have been separated. बहुत दूर दूर हो गए, इतना दूर हो गए कि यहाँ पे एक नई membrane बन जाएगी. This hypotheca can have its own epitheca. Epitheca can have its own hypotheca. सबसे पहले तो we're going to have this protoplasm swells. Number 1. Second, wall separate. Number 3, nucleus divides. देखो बेटा एक nucleus था, अब 2 nucleus हो गए. Now we have the making of their own walls. Okay, old epitheca is getting new hypotheca.